comes the cake.
Triangle.
We don't have to do anything.
All right. They told me after.
After she blows it up.
We're gonna do blow and then we're gonna sing. No, start it. Happy birthday to you.
Everybody have a
That's
piece
all right.
of that.
A big cake is at the back. This is the one they don't want to eat the one you blew on.
There are a few people who would like to say a couple of things, but I see someone actually is ready at the back. Someone has just arrived in from Balmoral, I believe, Scotland. Oh, good to see this lady arriving. It looks rather regal, actually.
We bring our greetings from Balmoral Palace to Marion Bigger Hindford Austen on the auspicious occasion of her 100th birthday. And we have a little token of our own personal esteem. Which I present to you. Thank you. And greetings to all. May this be a wonderful occasion.
I was so disappointed when Queenie died before I had my 100th birthday. I've been waiting for years to get my letter from the Queen. And a letter from the King doesn't mean a thing. But I got a letter from the Queen. She signed it. Hooray! Hooray! Thank you, Queen. I'll be up soon.
We also understand that there's a song which you like to sing, which I also leave in May, tending goats on Corinshire. Heard a sound so sweet and fay, the maiden thought that heaven was near. She listened, and the more she heard the heavenly strain, the sweeter grew. She followed, and the more she strayed, the further past from mortal view. Sheena van one eve in May, tending goats on Corinshire, heard a sound so sweet and fay, the maiden thought that heaven was near. At length she reached a little hill, Oh, enter in, sweet Sheena Ban. Oh, enter in with us to stay. Behold, the night is dark and drear, and thy father's home is far away. Sheena Ban one eve in May, tending goats on Coran Sheer, heard a sound so sweet and fay, the maiden thought that heaven was near. She entered if the tale be true, and her pure heart the merman won. She drank of the cup that fairies brew, and ne'er on earth returned again, and ne'er on earth returned again.
And I'm back at the mic. It's time for Wayne to get his group together. Maybe they're going to do a little musical number. I'm not sure just what's happening, but that's what I'm told. There seem to be a number of them.
Going to pick out her 6 favorite hymns. As you know, Molly claims to be a churchaholic. And so we have picked out 6. We're not going to sing all of them, but we are going to sing for Molly, and we would invite you to join us for 2 of them. And the first we are going to sing is Morning Has Broken, and we are going to all sing the first and the last verses. Molly, have a seat and sing away. Now, this one, you'll have to just join us in the chorus because Molly really liked this hymn too. And it's I, the Lord of sea and sky. And so when we get to the part of Here I Am, Lord, let's sing part of it.
Sing
The next song Molly forgot was one of her favorites. We haven't sung it for a while because for sometimes it was by some people it was considered too 70s. However, it was written in 1977, and listen very carefully as we try to spit out all these words to the verses. If you'd swear it was written for 2023. It's called Take Off Your Shoes. Your favorite Molly. The Vicar of Dibley, or have watched The Vicar of Dibley. The theme song of that was written by Howard Goodall, and it's called The Lord's My Shepherd. This is Molly's favorite anthem, isn't it, dear? And so we are singing it for her, and our soloist is Megan Adams.
Shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh
and join us for the first and last verses of Now Thank We All Our God.
Molly, we've been together at this for 23 years. Yep. We have, starting out in the basement in Sunday school. I wasn't sure what to do, whether I should deliver my funeral sermon for her. It'll be about Vashti, by the way. That's what we discussed. That's what we've agreed. It would have been fitting in a way because I think we've sung all the hymns that we're going to have and the anthem. But this is the part where I should say something because that's what I'm supposed to do. But unfortunately, I decided to sing something, and nobody should ask me to do that. Particularly after we've had beautiful solos and wonderful choral singing and everything else. But they say I have a good voice for a minister, which is pretty much I can carry a tune. But the one thing I do like to do is write new lyrics for things. So Molly, with apologies, I rolled it up to be pretty, and now I have to unroll it. There. Thank you. Yep, perfect. So Molly, with apologies to whatever poor soul wrote When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, here is my song for you. It's called Molly's Birthday Song. Now the God of all creation cast an eye around and asked, when the year was 1923, who'd be ready for adventure and so many things to learn, and a little voice beside him answered, "Me!" Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years, and we're gonna go down a few steps. So the God of all creation set her down upon the earth, in the midst of trees and flowers, bugs and birds. You will find me in your Bible, in your church and in your choir, in your garden, in your friends, and in the woods. Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years. Now the God of all creation celebrated as she grew, with the Spirit made to welcome everyone. Some she taught and some she mothered, some she fed and watered too. Raised a garden full of friendships and of fun. Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years. But the God of all creation also likes a good debate. Do some thinking, be a rebel with the cause. Molly met this challenge bravely with some raging granny flair. Ask your questions, God can take it, read some Spong. Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years. For the God of all creation, any year is just a day. Any age is just a number, so we're told. Don't forget that I'm still with you, though the body starts to fray. So Molly really leaned right into being old. Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years. So the God of all creation has enjoyed these 100 years, full of love and service, protest, wit, and grace. Much adventure, joy, and learning, friends, and laughter, songs, and tears. You're a treasure, and we're grateful every day. Oh, it's Molly's 100th birthday. Yes, it's Molly's 100th birthday. It's our Molly's 100th birthday. So we're celebrating Molly's 100 years. Woohoo! Happy birthday, most fun.
All right, next on my list, I have Michael Marshall come up and say a few words on behalf of the Canadian Bible Society.
Sign important documents, mismanagement. And that's the impression she liked to give, even to us staff. Very laid back, very laissez-faire management, but don't let it kid you. She actually was a very successful business person and a very ecumenical person, and I think the two were related, though she had the heck of a time teaching each new boss of her, which was the district manager from the Bible Society itself, a minister. They would always just want her to sell Bibles, and her attitude was, You've got to get them into the store for what they want, and then you sell them the Bible study. But let me tell you how she started. This was the days before HR departments. When Ian was 6, she wandered down Spring Garden Road to Granville Street to help the secretary fold bulletins every week. And after a while, Reverend McIntosh, who was very old school, the inventor of fire and brimstone, he said, well, why don't you start working here and get paid? So 2 hours a day, she was a bookkeeper, and gradually, this was 70 years ago, because Ian was 6 at the time, so this was back in the 50s, she gradually ended up being the bookstore manager. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, because in the Granville Street store, if you ever wandered in, if you remember, it was like a perfectly preserved tiny fragment of the 19th century. I remember going in there in the early 60s. But when I next went into the Canadian Bible Society store, it was on Grafton, right across from the library, and I was looking for a job, and I heard that it had one of the world's first bookstore computer management system. So it was a huge place. It was very well stocked, and I can remember doing a lot of manual labor, because people from the country would come up with those great big pickup trucks, and we would load Bible box after Bible box, 36 boxes of Bible at a time. Now, what got them in there? We were the most successful Christian bookstore probably for certainly in the region, and the only survivor of the Canadian Bible Society bookstores across the country. Was Molly's attitude was that we will sell anything. Masonic Bibles, the fundamentalists just hated that, but we also sold chick cartoons, which everyone, basically, if you know the chick fire fundamental cartoon systems, were offended pretty well everyone else. We sold Catholic stuff, we sold everything. And Molly's attitude was, you got to get them in there. You got to get those people who would never rub shoulders with each other. Here they were rubbing shoulders and talking to each other as they edged their way up to the cash register. I mean, it was a very ecumenical place. It was also very successful. The thing was selling a pile of both Bible Society Bibles and all the Christian music and United Church, I lost a word for the United Church Girl Guides equivalent. What is it? You know, you didn't know what you'd be selling, because there was so much stuff that we had to sell. But it really worked, and it was really to Molly's credit that was her attitude. She would say to some of the staff members, that customer looks quite unhappy. Can't you take her in the kitchen and give her a tea? So, I mean, we weren't just about selling things. We were a big family, very eclectic family, but so were our customers, and we were quite a successful operation. It's gone now, but that's basically due to the district, ministers. They changed and had different attitude, and eventually, after I think 40 years, Molly retired and could no longer hold back that flow. But when the Canadian Bible Society bookstore finally went under, all the staff were absorbed in a kind of a fundamentalist-oriented bookstore you may have heard called Blessings. It was a chain across Canada. Well, we again were the exception. We were the only place that sold Catholics and all kinds of material. We were a very successful bookstore for them. Again, taking on the Molly attitude of being open and ecumenical. So she'd long retired, but her staff had absorbed through the pores her attitude, and we carried it on. We had a hard time convincing the owner, but while he was very fundamentalist, he also liked money, and we were clearly very successful. So anyway, if you know Molly, don't let that manner fool you. Underneath that sort of relaxed atmosphere, she's quite a shrewd business person.
I remember that old store myself. I was just a wee toddler when my mom would sometimes take me down there. Yes. Okay, next we have Ken Moores apparently wishes to have some words.
Say, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ken Moores. For those of you who do know me, thank God I'm not going to sing. Like everyone else here, I'm so happy that we're celebrating Molly's 100th birthday today. I don't think I personally know anyone else that's 100, but I'm glad and privileged to know Molly. Now, I know Molly from St. Matthew's, like a lot of you here, and I know Molly from Berwick Church Camp, like a lot of you here. But I also know Molly because I grew up on Vernon Street, about 2 blocks away from the Austen household. And occasionally, when rodents would invade the Moores household, my dad would say to me, "Ken, get a gym bag and go get a cat from the Austins." And even when you're 6 and almost nothing that your parents tell you is odd, that sounded odd. And in retrospect, it sounds like the beginning of a bad drug deal. Psst, have you got a kid? Nevertheless, I would get a gym bag, walk the 2 blocks, arrive at the Austin's door, provide the password, and lo, a kitten would be produced. And the mice, well, they would soon be gone. More importantly, Molly Austen was my confirmation class leader, and she was very successful at that. All her students graduated to be confirmed, except me. I still had questions, and I suppose to some extent I still have questions. However, why this became problematic at the time was that my father at that time was the superintendent of the Sunday school. So despite my excellent and unquestioning cat fetching skills, within the Moores household, there was a slight bit of anxiety that the Sunday school superintendent's son was the only student not getting confirmed. But Molly made it clear to me and the interested parties in my family that it was my decision and that it was okay. It was a bit of grace that was sorely needed. And Molly, I still have and still treasure and occasionally use the King James red letter version of the Bible that I got on June 7th, 1970, as part of your Sunday school class, even though I didn't get confirmed. And here we are today. Molly refers to me as her only failure. And Molly, with some degree of humility, I must say, Molly, that if I'm your only failure, I think you've done pretty good. So, on behalf of the Moores and Matthews families, Molly, a very happy birthday from us all. Thanks for all your many kindnesses to me, my wife, and our children over our years too. Thanks for your wisdom and grace over the years. And yes, of course, thanks for the cats.
I don't remember that happening, but I believe it with every fiber of my soul. We had lots of cats. It's quite possible some may have gone off in a bag somewhere. Now, I'd like to call upon my brother to come and say a few words. Oh, there he is.
The number is 23.
Bingo.
We had 23 cats. A number of them, had babies all at once. So I can confirm we had cats. I'm here actually to speak on behalf of my older brother, and you think I'm the oldest, but I'm not. I have an older brother, Chris McCann, who joined our family from Trinidad. He came to go to university, and I was just a teenager, but he is my older brother. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it here today, and so he sent me a little thing for me to read, which I'm going to try and do. My voice is going to break. It is emotional, but it's just my voice goes. So bear with me, and I will try and get through it. Hi, Molly. Greetings and congratulations for this major milestone. There is so much I want to say, but so little time to say it. I sometimes cannot believe that I have known you and the wonderful Austen family for 67 years. I was first introduced to your family when I was 18. I was young, I was immature, and I was stupid. The problem is that I did not know this at the time. After all, when you were 18, you know everything. But time does wonders. Here you are, 100 years old, and I am 85. I knew we would all grow old, but I didn't know it would happen so fast. I cannot begin to list how much I learned from you. You were my second mother, and you were there to guide me through my most difficult times. You had such an influence on me that my brother Winston, who you know, once gave me the ultimate compliment when he told me I'm just like the Austens. I remember so many things, but a few stand out in my memory. I had a degree, but no idea what to do. I told you I had talked to a recruiter from the armed forces and asked you what you thought of it. First, you looked at me with shock on your face for about 2 seconds, and then you burst out laughing. And then you said, I hope you realize you have to have some level of discipline to be in the armed forces. Your laughter was enough to tell me that that was not a good career choice. As you know, I went into teaching and taught for 42 years, longer than anyone I know. During of all that time, since I first met you, I have carried you in my heart. Your kindness, your humility, your brilliance, and so many other qualities stay with me every day. Over the past 67 years, you were my guardian, my mentor, my counselor, and advisor. The good Lord sent you to guide me when I needed you most. Thank you, Molly, for being there for me. Best wishes on this very special day. Chris. If you notice, he is up there. You'll see him go flash across the screen. Alec.
You can introduce the next person. Do you know who it is?
Oh, yes, my daughter, Maggie. I gotta talk right in here.
Okay. Or I could just use my teacher voice. All right, well, I just wanted to say a few words, because again, a few, it's very short, I promise. I have many more, but I'll just say a few. But as the first grandchild, I, 50 years ago, turned you into grammar. So for 50 years, she has been my grammar, and she's been grammar ever since. For 22 years, I lived next door to her, and so she was also my second mother. So you took me on many adventures. Pretty much all the exciting things that happened in my formative years happened because you took me there pretty well. We went to Berwick, we went to youth forum, we took that university extension course on the Big Bang, way back when I was in high school. You took me berry picking, river swimming, tree climbing, rock climbing. You even taught me how to climb a grammar. Remember that? I tried to find some kids to demonstrate, but I didn't get any takers. And couch jumping, much to grandfather's chagrin, I'm sure. There was a lot of couch jumping in those early days. But mostly always taking me somewhere to get me in trouble, allowing me to climb the tallest tree that, as a parent now, I know my parents would have been like, ah! But there was Molly, go higher, go higher. And then I did follow in your footsteps by leaving home. Not too many people leave home once they hit the Austen complex. We stick around. But I did, I left. But even now when I'm in California and walking with Teddy along a river, you are there with us every time, because it is you who taught me how to explore up the riverbank and discover a hidden island and be very excited about that, and just generally to find joy in the world and find ways to get into trouble. So that was great. But good trouble, good trouble. And I think that's mostly just because I'm sure as many of you know, especially if you have been or have young children, she just delights so much in child energy and encourages that child energy. And so you couldn't ask for a better person to be your second mom, to be your mentor as a young person, to just make sure that you're doing all the things that a young person should do to be around, a person out in the world. So I thank you so much for taking me all those places and encouraging me to climb that tree higher and higher and higher. Thank you. Love you.
All right, now it's time for Nora Kennedy's turn at this.
Hello, everyone. For those of you, which is probably most of you in this room who don't know me, I'm Nora Kennedy, and I am Molly's niece. I am here with my sister, Kathleen. We are the daughters of Molly's youngest sister, Eleanor, who I wish with all my heart could be here with us today. And we're also, Elizabeth is here as well, who is the daughter of Molly's the middle sister, Jean. So we're here representing the Ontario branch of the family. So I wanted to just say a few words, and then I have a very short video clip to play, because most of you know Molly from this setting and her life here, her very, very long life here in Halifax. But there was a part of Molly's life that also happened and took place every summer in Mansfield, Ontario. You'll have seen some of the pictures that were up here, Molly on Scout, and everybody in our family knows the stories of Scout the killer horse, but you know, Molly, it was Molly's horse and she was riding. Every summer, one of the highlights of our childhood was the anticipation of waiting for the Austen station wagon to drive up the fourth line. And every summer, this would happen with a different combination of cousins and dogs, but sometimes it had the camper, sometimes it was just the station wagon, but as soon as we saw that cloud of dust coming up the gravel road, we were ready, and we knew that summer had actually finally really begun. Like Maggie just said, Maggie, I share so many of those same memories, the learning to play in a different and imaginative way. One of the things that we loved about Molly was, first of all, she worked at a bookstore, and how exciting was that? And one of the things that happened was that Molly introduced us to whole new imaginative worlds. And like Maggie just referenced, Molly was never a grown-up. She was never the grown-up who was going to let you kids go off and have fun while she sat around and drank tea with the grown-ups. That was not her vibe. She was in there like a dirty hat, dirty sock. One of our favorite experiences was the year that swallows and Amazons came into our life. And this became even more than just those fabulous books by Arthur Ransom that we loved so much. They became a whole world for us. We learned semaphore. We did we learned how to make fires, even in places where perhaps we probably shouldn't. Molly introduced us to a large part of that world, and not only as I say, just the reading faction. We took it to a whole other level. Because there were two of us as sisters, Kathleen and I, obviously, became the Amazon pilots. And we learned to shiver me timbers with the best of them. Molly, because she wasn't about to let us just have fun on our own, needs to be in there and make sure that we know what we're doing. Molly graciously took on the role of Mate Susan of the Swallows, because as she explained at the time, Susan was the practical one who did all the cooking and the cleaning. So, you know, we were game for that. For years, decades actually, the Swallows and Amazons reigned. Letters went back and forth between Nova Scotia and Ontario, and it became a really big part of our lives. So when Maggie talks about all of the adventures and that leadership that Molly could do in terms of the fun, she can do it across provinces as well. We also got to know Molly in a bit of a different sense in that we also saw her when she was working for the Bible Society on her business trips. And she would fly into Toronto Airport where we would go and meet her eagerly. And there was the businesswoman Molly. And for Kathleen and I, growing up in rural Ontario, having that role model of a successful businesswoman, knowing what she was doing, was really something for us to look up to, and was a really good learning opportunity. She became a role model in a very different way than Mate Susan in the Swallows and Amazons games. So I would say that we come from a long line of pretty strong women in our family. My grandmother, Molly's mother, and her sisters, and many of us, I think now, and Molly, a lot of that is because of the modeling that you have done throughout our lives, and just how much, even from a distance across the provinces, I just want you to know how important, how important you've always been to us. And now I'd like to just take a quick moment to show you about some of the fun that we had at the farm in Mansfield when we were children. And Swallows and Amazons forever, Molly, okay? And happy birthday, Mate Susan. There's Molly arriving at the farm. I think we just missed the station wagon coming up at the road. This was the summer that we built the pond. And there is Molly on our raft. The Hindford sisters were never afraid of hard work. That's them ferrying a very large rock across the pond to put that in its proper place. That's my mother Eleanor with her. And there they are. Now they're onto the raft, having a little downtime after the hard work, and they are in. There were many fun times at that pond. And there she goes, diving in, and that's my Aunt Jean, that's Molly's other sister. And here is our camping trip, as Molly so carefully, kindly, and gently removes one of those hideous life jackets off of my head when I had a broken arm. And there's Molly, Jean, and Eleanor sitting at the top of the law in Scotland, just behind North Berwick, outside of Edinburgh, on one of their visits back to the old country. Thank you, Molly. We love
That wraps it up. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to come up and say? Oh, we seem to be good. I think you can be dismissed, I think. Yes, there's always more food. Oh, yes. I keep telling you, there's cake back there. I did have some myself. It's quite tasty. So, mingle, chat.
I'm gonna say.
All right.
All right. I love you.
You feeling well? Yeah. Once the fever passed.
Happy birthday.
I mean, it really